today I am going to show you how to do the confetti stitch or the crossed stitch, and I use it in my confetti shawl. And this is a shawl that I use just a single skein of single ply fingering weight, and I wanted just something fun like the colors and something to kind of just show off all those awesome hand-dyed colors. And so I used what I call a confetti stitch and an open confetti stitch, but they can also be called a cross stitch or an open cross stitch. So I'm going to show you how to do those two stitches, and I am just going to use a tonal yarn so that way you can kind of see it better on the yarn, and that way the colors kind of aren't in the way. So I've just kind of cast on an even number of stitches, and the confetti stitch is going to be worked on 2 stitches, so an even number of stitches. And the way to get it to alternate is you work it through, and then on the next time around, when you get back to your right side, you're going to alternate. So I'll knit 3 before I start doing the little cross stitch, so that way the next cross ends up here and it ends up sort of like being diagonally. And because if you do it over and over, then you're going to get like a column of stitches and of cross stitches, and that totally changes things. But it would look pretty cool too. You could always try that. So I'm going to knit 3, and then for the cross stitch, I'm actually going to knit into the front of the second stitch on my left hand needle. And I'm going to knit it, take that off completely, right over that first stitch. And then I'll knit that first stitch. And it gives you that crossed over. So you knit through the front only of the second stitch on your left hand needle, and you pull it all the way over and off. Then you knit that first stitch. And you just keep doing that, knitting that second stitch first, then knitting the first stitch. And what I do in order to make sure I don't take both stitches off is I kind of use my finger to keep that first stitch on as I'm pulling the other one over with my other needle. So I kind of hold it back a little bit so it doesn't fall off too. And you kind of got to use a lot of your fingers when you're doing some of these stitches, but you get used to it. And here's the end of that, and I'm just going to knit the last 3. So on the back rows, and you can see that we have crossed our stitches right in between the previous row. And on the back side, you are going to, those are just my 2 edge stitches, and you're going to purl the main body stitches. So just purl every stitch. And that's my edge stitches. Okay. So then you can see those little crossed bits coming across. And I'll do another row. And this one, since I want it to start, now I'm going to do it right up against, so I'm just going to go ahead and knit the second stitch first, drop it off, knit the first stitch, second stitch through the front loop only, than the first stitch, like normal. Take it off. There's my last 2 stitches. So you can see that's kind of beginning to give shape, and you just continue doing that for your crossed stitches. Okay, now I'm going to show you how to do these opened cross stitches, or open confetti stitches, as I call them in my shawl. And these are worked over 4 stitches. So on the right side row, when you're about to work them, you're going to wrap your yarn twice for every stitch before you pull it through and off. So for each stitch, it goes twice around, giving you extra length, and that's what's going to create that long open cross. So wrap it 2 times before pulling it through. Okay, then on the wrong side row is where you're going to make that magic happen. So I've got my 2 edge stitches, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 4 stitches, and I am going to transfer them over to my right side needle, letting that long wrap, that extra wrap fall. Okay, so I'm opening up those 4 stitches. Then I'm going to take the first 2 that are on my right hand needle, and we're going to take them over like this to the left hand, then put the next 2 on. So you have rearranged their position, right? So the ones that used to be over here, over there, you've crossed them. Then you're going to purl those 4 stitches in their new order that they're in, that you've put them in. 1, 2, 3, 4. And you see what happens on the right side. All right, so we'll do that again. The next 4 stitches, you transfer them to the right side, dropping that extra wrap. Okay, take the first 2 back over, and you just got to make sure those other ones stay on. Then put the first 2 back, okay, and then purl them in their new order. There. And that's what the front should look like. Okay, again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Pass the first 2 over, back to the left hand, get the last 2 over. Now they're in a new position, new order. Purl them in their new order. Okay, last one. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Take the first 2, pass them over, and the second 2. Now purl them in their new order. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I've got my 2 edge stitches right here. So you'll see on the right side that you've got this open work. Looks really cool, and when you've got a lot of colors going on, then it really shows off the different little speckles and things, and you know, it really changes things up since you're changing the order. So here's what it looks like in my confetti shawl pattern. I've got the smaller cross stitches, the larger cross stitches, and some stockinette, just so that it shows off all the variations, because with hand-dyed yarn you can really get so many different looks. You know, when you just do stockinette, you see very clearly the dye, the lines, and the, you know, the where it was placed, and then you know, do something like this and it changes it up and it really muddles it even more. And then you do the bigger cross stitches and you get to show off the, you know, the little bits that kind of pop out. So I hope that this has helped you with the confetti shawl and learning a brand new fun stitch for hand-dyed and speckled yarns.